Thanks very much for time to share talk today. WRES, Michael Masterman, Chairman of WRES on the AIM ticker. Good RNS today as well.
Yeah, good RNS. We're having a great quarter.
So, what do you think today then when you released that news? I was watching social media. A lot of your shareholders picked up on it.
Well, it's everybody's been saying, when are you going to be in production? We're in production literally a quarter ahead of time. We said December quarter, we're producing the September quarter. We've been really pleased with how the plant started up. This is usually the most, I've started a large number of very large and medium-sized projects, and when you get this kind of performance really early on, it's a really good signal for how we're going to go over the next 9 months, which is the company making period of time.
You said you are ahead of schedule. How are you able to start ahead of schedule? That's the question you've got to start off with, please.
Look, I think we've got a really good team. We've got a really good on the ground team. We learnt a hell of a lot from the tailings operations about how to run the plant, how to expand it, how to make sure we get to steady state. So when we made the decision to go into production quickly, we got all the ideas, all the lessons learnt from previous operations and built them into the plant. So we've got a plant that literally has come up to steady state in less than a week, which is extraordinarily good for a mining operation.
So we've been dealing with you guys for a couple of months now, and your shareholders weren't expecting it. You come out with the RNS. Obviously, this has been recorded on the Thursday when the RNS has been released, and you definitely caught them out. You did.
Well, sometimes they'd say that we are slower than we should be, but I think a huge amount of groundwork has gone into our approvals.
Yeah.
We're completely approved.
Yeah.
The preparation for the mine. A lot of our shareholders would have seen the mine blast that we did in July. We're really careful and really shareholder conscious in terms of how we do our financing, so we've been gradually piecing that together, and that's allowed us to get decisively to where we are today, and we'll move decisively on the next stages of the expansion of the project. So huge amount of work with a very skilled team has gone into getting us to where we are today.
Alright, that brings me on good enough to the next one. Are your costs in line with expectations?
Yes. So in terms of the startup of the mine, this gets us into production, and it importantly gets us delivering tungsten concentrate to our customers. We're seeing very strong demand from our customers in the United States and also in Europe, and it's important as we drive into 2017 that the metal is moving. As part of the financing, we got a 1.2 million forward sale facility. That's customers paying us in advance of the tungsten. Being able to deliver to our customers in a timely way with good quality product is really important for our credibility with respect to distribution. We're very confident we'll deliver, but going early and being able to deliver allows us to access more and more of those forward sales facilities.
So you mentioned the word customers there. Do you have any customers lined up for the first production? And if so, when will this be shipped to them?
The customers have actually, our customer in America has actually advanced us the funds for the first shipment or two.
Okay,
and that allowed us to move quickly and decisively on what we've started up over the last week. I'd say second week in October we'll have our first shipment out. We basically get paid. We get paid in advance, but
that was going to be my next question. Actually, how quick do you get paid?
We get paid in advance from American customers, but with our European customers, they pay us. When we have 10 or 20 tons of tungsten concentrate, we ring them up. We say the tungsten concentrate's here to pick up. They send a truck. 3 days later, we get paid. Within Europe, it's exceptional. I mean, to be able to actually have customers who will pick up and literally buy or pay a few days later for that tungsten at the mine site is very valuable in terms of our working capital.
So that means you're going to be cash generating, because obviously you're producing now, so you're cash generating.
Yeah, we're certainly revenue generating.
Revenue, sorry. Yeah.
I think in terms of the economics, for the next 3-4 months, we'll be revenue generating, and we'll have a nice but small profit margin in there. The key next step for expanding production and also driving down our operating costs, which is really important for driving towards really good profitability, is the installation of the crusher. We're building the full crusher for the full 2,500 tonnes per annum of production. So we're investing in advance. The crusher allows us to do two things. One, it very substantially reduces our cost of delivering crushed feed to the plant, because it's a brand new state-of-the-art crusher. And secondly, it frees us up to expand the production rates in the rest of the plant. We're looking for commissioning and installation and commissioning of the crusher in January, February, and that'll be an important step change to drive down operating costs and allow us to lift the production rates. So
what are you expecting for the rest of your portfolio? Because the R&S we're covering one part of the company today, but what do you expect going forward as a company?
In terms of the other assets?
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the things that distinguishes WRES is that we're a multi-product and multi-project company. Parrilla is very important. It'll generate very significant earnings. But on top of that, we have Regular in northern Portugal. That is a high-grade deposit. We have very good, highly economic development plans for that teed up. And we also have a really good and advancing portfolio of gold and copper assets that and any other company would have the market cap that we have on the total company. So the copper and the gold assets are also advancing, albeit behind the two flagship tungsten projects.
I've got a couple of questions from London South East. We use that message board to ask your shareholders.
Well, we like London South East.
So these are questions from genuine shareholders. Do you still envisage farming the gold mine out? First question.
Yes, we do. We've had some really good discussions about how we do that and when we do that. Most immediately, we released JORC resources of about 110,000 ounces about 3 months ago, and those resource results and that geological model evaluations that said, Michael, drill in these 5-6 locations and you'll be able to very quickly increase the size of the indicated resources in our São Martinho gold deposit. The cost of doing that is relatively small, and we basically said, let's bank that, and then let's look at how we bring in big gold to look at exploiting this deposit.
All right. What happened to the tailing at LP? There was a lot of talk about this several years back, with the proceeds used to fund the main mine.
The tailings operation was funded, and it did two really important things for the company as a whole. Firstly, it allowed us to deliver product to customers, and customers said to us the product goes through our plants really well. So we got a lot of credibility with customers. Secondly, it put in place infrastructure, and often infrastructure is more than 50% of the cost of mine development. So we have the power connection because of the tailings, we have the roads and all the product handling facilities because of the tailings, and we built a concentrator. Now the concentrator we're running production on now was built for the tailings. So what we've been able to do is move very efficiently in terms of infrastructure and plant to tungsten production far faster than anybody else in the market, because we created that tailings and now mine capacity in the early stages of the development of the company. We did a strategic review on the tailings in, I think it was early 2015, and we said, look, the tailings has a mine life of 2 years and a net present value of 2 million. The mine has a net present value of 100 million and a 7 to 20 year mine life. The value for shareholders lies in fast track exploitation of that mining resource, and so we said, particularly in a period where commodity prices were a little bit soft, let's refocus the management team on targeting that $100 million opportunity and the 15-year life, and transform the tailings infrastructure that we have into the foundations of a very, very highly economic mine development.
Oh, that's excellent. Would WRES consider share consolidation in the future?
That's a question where there's lots of people on both sides of the debate. Look, we have really good volumes, which is attractive. Some smaller shareholders hate share consolidation, some other shareholders say it's a good idea. We're focused on delivery of profits and earnings. I think
some good questions there from your shareholders.
They're very they're questions I ask myself at night. We certainly don't have any near-term plans for that. I guess as a shareholder myself, I think we can get to very large amounts of profitability. When we get there, one of the ways in which we'll reward shareholders is with dividends, and with dividends, I think you'll see a transformation of the share price. I expect to see a transformation, but way before then.
Yeah.
I think the consolidation issue might become academic when we get to that level of profitability.
Are RES fully funded?
We funded the first stage of the startup mine, which is up and running now. We wouldn't be producing as we speak. We are very advanced, as we announced today, on equipment finance for the key components of the expansion to 2,500 tonnes per annum. That's going to be in place on the crusher, as we've previously announced. We think we're going to drop the funding cost of that crusher. As we announced today, we're going to put in place equipment finance on the jig and the mill, which is the biggest long lead component. And this is a very good time to develop a project. You've got vendors globally, but in particular in Europe, with access to low cost funds. They want to sell and put their plant to work in mines like ours. And that's creating very good conditions for us to very efficiently finance and build the plant with the commitment of very good top-notch suppliers.
I've spoken to a lot of resource mining companies and so on, and the ones who've survived through the dip, in my personal opinion, it looks like it's changing now. It looks like the dip's changing. It looks the market's picking up, and the companies that are still in position now, who've gone through that transfer, some have just been, they've just gone to the shell companies, or they're not here today. But the ones who are positioned are lean and keen to going into this market, in my opinion, they're in a good position. Look,
arguably we were one of the best performing stocks on the market through 2015, which was a horrible year.
Exactly, yeah.
Look, put it in context. In January, everybody was risk off on mining. Iron ore was low, oil was low. Since then, you've seen resources stocks, particularly in Australia and Canada, run extraordinarily well.
Unbelievable, price of gold in Australia.
Yeah. I was a founding shareholder of Fortescue Metals Group. I was involved in all the stages of its very substantial expansions. That's by far and away the best performing stock on the Australian Stock Exchange this year. It's gone from 170 to 550, 16 billion market cap. That started off as a $5 million company. And there is a lot of, because all the institutions were basically zero holdings in resources in January, they were sitting in June saying our portfolios are completely underperforming because we've had no resource exposure. And that certainly in the Australian and Canadian markets it's translated into a lot higher availability of capital and a lot more funds actively seeking resource opportunities.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I can't name the person of the company, but I was in the city in February and they were seeking finances and their share price was around 5p something. And I look at them today and they've hit 40p. They're around there now. So it's just like you say, from that time to now, it's amazing.
I'm not sure it's fully in the UK market yet. I mean, I think
yeah,
probably there was a little bit
still
of a double step with Brexit, but certainly in Australia you've got companies that have really early stage assets, explorations or assets, or not even exploration assets, that are raising 10, 20 million at very good valuations. I'm expecting to see that flow into the UK and the AIM market, and that's going to be extremely good news for the companies with the kind of near-term production and cash and revenue potential that we have, and that we're delivering on.
Yeah, true. What is the critical list of things that need to happen for WRES to achieve your business share price? That's the question.
I think it cumulatively builds. This last 3 months, we've started the mining operations. We've announced the initial finance package. We've started production. We have a couple more planks of the financing to come through, and we're keeping the market highly informed in terms of how we're progressing with that. I think you're going to see a number of small steps and a number of significant steps over the next 9 months as we head to the 2,500 tonnes per annum of tungsten production mid-year. I think we've seen a re-rating in tin. We're a big tin producer.
Yeah, sure we are.
And that'll be big. I think the tungsten price re-rating is going to come. Steel, which is one of the major uses of tungsten, cutting steel, shaping steel, making steel for cars, making steel for airlines, is running much stronger than anybody actually ever expected, say in January. And I think you're going to see tungsten pricing kick in. I can't say whether it's in 3 months or in 9 months, but all the fundamentals are in place to do that. And we continue to really substantially build what we're doing in gold, which has already run hard, and copper, which I expect to be the metal for 2017. So fundamentals are there. We've had an extraordinarily good run. Haven't seen our share price run as strongly as it should with the fundamentals we've put in place. I think when shareholders can start to smell and see the earnings that'll come through, I think that's maybe when you'll see the very significant re-rating.
Just 2 more questions if you don't mind. How many employees are you planning to hire and when?
Well, we have very...
it's a good one.
It's very important, particularly when you're a small company, to have very flexible capability to expand your workforce, but also to manage your exposures with respect to costs. So we have literally in the last 2 weeks brought the team back onto the mine and the concentrator operations. They're there, back in their jobs, running hard. I think we'll probably go up to, at 2,500, we'll probably go up to 50 to 70 employees. But we have the relationships in Extremadura, which is the region of Spain where we operate, to draw on the people we've trained, the people are looking for the jobs, and that's a really important asset for us going forward.
You have a strong workforce, obviously, to support you.
Yeah, and we're investing in training them as well, educating them, making them helping them understand how a metallurgical plant operates, and how to run it better, and that's paying dividends now, and it's going to pay dividends in the future. There is nothing like being able to run the plant now at 400 tonnes per annum before we take it up to 2,500 tonnes per annum. The de-risking and the reduction in the commissioning and ramp-up time that we'll achieve as a result of what we're doing now is many times the value of what we can deliver to shareholders.
And the last question, will the mine operations be restricted or will it be working 7 days a week?
With the mine, we'll start off on 5 days, 12 hours a day, but there's no particular restriction on being able to kick it up to 24/7. What we're looking at is just the best integration between the parts of the plant and the parts of the plant as we expand. So the concentrator works 24/7.
That's all, Mike. You've answered all the questions there for the shareholders.
And I'm very pleased to do that.
I can't knock you, honestly. Thanks very much for your time. It's been a pleasure.
Not at all.
All right, thank you.